number 8, page number 79. A company has issued 1000 equity shares of rupees 100 each at a premium of 10%. So premium of 10% means, can I say net proceeds will be 110? Here we will always be finding per share only, means no to 1000 into 100, 1 lakhs plus 10%, 1 lakh 10,000. What is the formula? DPS upon NPS. What is NPS? Net proceeds per share. So everything is to be done per share, don't multiply it with number of shares. Means 100 rupees face value plus 10% premium. So what will we take? NPS, net proceeds per share 110. The company has been paying 20% dividend for the past 5 years and expects to maintain the same in future also. So stable dividend approach or dividend growth approach? See the sentence again. The company has been paying 20% dividend for the past 5 years and expects to maintain the same in future also. So stable dividend approach or dividend growth approach? Stable dividend approach. Same percentage it is paying for the last 5 years and expecting to pay the same percentage in future also. Means stable dividend approach. Plus G will not come. In the formula, plus G will not come. Now, what did I tell you in the beginning of this chapter? Dividends and interests, you always count on face value. Okay, so this 20% dividend we will count on 100 rupees. 100's 20%, the dividend per share will be 20 rupees. As I said, everything per share. So directly face value is 100. 100's 20% dividend will be 20 rupees DPS, dividend per share. Compute the cost of another word new equity capital. So here we'll do DPS upon NPS into 100. Plus G you will do if growth rate is given. Here growth rate is not given and one sentence also indicated that it was stable dividend approach. If current market price per share is rupees 160, that means NPS, then what would be the cost of an existing? Here we'll apply the formula DPS upon NPS into 100. Raise your hand who wants me to repeat the question. All up there with the information. So what all things are required? Very first of all, DPS is required, which is 100 into 20%. It is always counted on face value, so 20. Any confusion in this? Now two answers are asked. First, new equity capitals cost is asked. Second, existing. So first we will do new equity. For that we require NPS. For new equity what we require is net proceeds per share. How they are issued? 10% premium. So 100 rupees face value plus 10% premium means 100 plus 10. The net proceeds per share will be 110 rupees. Are you all clear with this? And then the formula KE is equal to DPS upon NPS into 100. Okay. What is dividend per share at the top? 20 upon net proceeds per share 110 into 100. Yes? 18.18%. Anyone having any doubt in this? And second, we have to find it for existing equity. Then we require MPS, market price per share, which is directly given as rupees 160. Okay, market price is already given as 160. So here the formula of cost of equity will be DPS upon MPS into 100. Dividend per share is same 20 MPS is 160 into 100. Yes. 12.5%. Did all of you understand this? Anyone having any doubt in this? Then question 9. A company plans to issue 1,000 new equity shares of rupees 100 each at par. So, what is the face value? 100. The flotation costs are expected to be 5% of share price. Mansi, what will you do with flotation cost? To get, we'll always minus the flotations cost to get what? To get what? Net proceeds per share. So 100 minus 5%, 5 rupees. What will you take the net proceeds? 95. Any doubts with this? Everything will do per share in case of equity. The company pays a dividend of rupees 10 per share initially. So what is this 10? Dividend per share directly given. The company pays a dividend of rupees 10 per share initially. Directly, what is this 10 rupees dividend per share, DPS? And then growth in dividend is expected to be 5%. So now stable dividend approach or growth dividend approach? Growth dividend approach. And what will we take G as 5? Is everyone clear with this? Compute the cost of NNU. So here the formula DPS upon NPS into 100 plus G. And what will you take net proceeds per share? 95. If the current and market price of an equity is rupees 150, MPS, calculate the cost of an existing. So here we will apply the formula DPS upon MPS into 100 plus. The only thing is if growth rate is given in the question, then you do it plus. That is the extra thing to be done. All of you are clear with this? So put down. First DPS, common thing, that is directly given as rupees 10. Now A, new equity. For new equity, how will we take the net proceeds per share? 100 minus 5% flotation cost. So 100 minus 5, 95. Any confusion in this? Now dividend growth approach, so formula will become DPS upon KE equals to DPS upon NPS into 100 plus G. At the top, write down growth rate also, that is also given in the question, 5%. Okay. So simply 5% is to be added in here. DPS is 10 upon NPS is 95 into 100 plus 5. 10 upon 95 into 100 is 10.53 plus 5, 15.53%. Anyone having any doubt in this? And same way for existing equity we will do. So now existing equity per. First, what will we write? What do we require for existing equity? Market price per share. What is that? 150. Now we'll apply the formula. Yes. DPS upon MPS into 100 plus G. Further, 10 upon 150 into 100 plus 5. What is 10 upon 150 into 100? 6.67 plus 5, 11.67%. Raise your hand who did not understand this. All are clear with this? Look at question number 10. The share of X Limited. Who are still doing this? Anyone still writing it? Okay, the share of X Limited is presently traded at rupees 50. Share, what is 50? No. Should be.
Okay,
Market price per share. Traded means traded where? Traded where? At the stock exchange. Shares are traded where? At the stock exchange. So at the stock exchange, if it is traded at rupees 50, then what is that 50 rupees? Market price per share. Did you understand this or not? And then traded at rupees 50 and above that write MPS, market price per share. Any confusions? And the company is expected to pay a dividend of rupees 4 per share. Right? Dividend per share, DPS, with a growth rate expected at 8%. So G is 8%. With a leverage formula, dividend per share upon NPS or MPS, whatever is given, into 100 plus G. It plans to raise fresh equity share capital. The merchant banker has suggested that under the pricing of rupees 1 is necessary, in pricing the new issues, besides involving the fixed cost of 50 paise per share as miscellaneous expenses. What does that mean? The merchant banker has suggested that underpricing of rupees 1 is necessary. Means if you issue the new shares in the market, currently it is traded at 50 rupees. Underpricing of rupees 1 means you issue them at 49 rupees. Further, there will be a fixed cost of 50 paise per share, that is a flotation cost. So, further 49 minus 0.5. What will net proceeds become? 48.5. Find out the cost of existing. When you do existing equity shares, then what market price per share you will take? 50. As well as new equity. When you find new equity, then what will you take? Net proceeds per share? 48.5. And given that the dividend and the growth rate are not expected to change. I'll repeat it once again and all of you will try it on your own. Okay. The share of X Limited is presently traded at rupees 50, that is market price per share, and the company is expected to pay a dividend of rupees 4 per share, that is DPS, and with a growth rate expected at 8% per annum. So G is to be taken as 8. It plans to raise fresh equity share capital. The merchant banker has suggested that underpricing of rupees 1 is necessary in pricing the new issue. Presently it is traded at 50. If you plan to raise fresh equity shares in the market or issue fresh equity shares in the market, then underpricing of rupees 1 means instead of 50 you should issue it at what price? 49 rupees. Okay, so net proceeds per share you will not take 50, you will take 49. Further, involving the fixed cost of 50 paise per share, so flotation cost is also there. So further 49 minus 0.5, your net proceeds per share will become 48.5 as miscellaneous expenses. Find out the cost of existing equity. When you do existing equity, then you divide by market price per share, which is 50, as well as new equity. When you find new equity, then you divide by net proceeds per share, which will be 48.5. Given that the dividend and growth rate are not expected to change. So the same formula as question 9 you will apply, but net proceeds you will take 50 minus 1 minus 0.5, 48.5, and market price per share you will directly take it as 50 rupees. Any doubts in that? Solve it on your own right now. All of you have completed?
Yes, sir.
Check your answers. I am doing it with you on the board. For existing equity, when you find, then the formula will be KE equals to DPS, which is directly given as 4 rupees upon market price per share 50 into 100 plus the growth rate is given as 8.
So, the last time it is given as
Means dividend will remain 4 and growth rate every year expected is 8%. Growth rate is not expected to change. You don't have that kind of questions only in the syllabus where growth rate also is different. Next 3 years 5%, then 15%, then 20%. Then the formulas will become very complicated. But that kind of questions you don't have in the syllabus. Okay. So 4 upon 50 to 100, that is 12.5%? No, 8%. Plus 8, 16%. And when you find it for new, then do you get KE as 4? Dividend per share remains same, but the net proceeds per share as we discussed it 48.5 into 100 plus 8. What is this? 8.25 plus 8, 16.25%. Who all could get this right? So all are clear with this? Okay, now take out the summary. Fourth topic. See, in the beginning I made like 4 topics are main, then overall cost is there. Is there any confusion in this? Now fourth is cost of retained earnings. KR. In the summary, you have to note it down. Now be attentive. What are retained earnings? See, whatever profits are earned by the company, some percentage of that profits, it gives us dividend, and some percentage of that profits are retained in the business. Okay. In short, can I say that whatever retained earnings are there in the business, that is indirectly the capital provided by the shareholders only? Because equity shareholders did not take the dividend and kept that money in business. So retained earnings are provided by the equity shareholders only. One thought may come to your mind, or maybe not. That retained earnings means you are saving your own money. So no cost is involved in that. When is cost involved? When you borrow it from others. When you borrow the things from outside. If it is your own money, no cost is involved. So maybe this did not come to your mind. But retained earnings means you save your own profits. The company saves its own profits. So one opinion is that there is no cost involved. Why define the cost of retained earnings? But that is not correct. Retained earnings is the saved profits of the company, but who is sacrificing for that? Equity shareholders. If company earns a profit of 1 crore, gives dividend of 60 lakhs and retains 40 lakhs. Who had the right on that 1 crore of profit? Owners. But they took dividend of only 60 lakhs, means they have given back the capital to the company 40 lakhs. So if you are not giving them full dividend, means they will expect more returns in future. They will expect that 40 lakhs you have not distributed between them, that you are investing in the business. So next year, the return given to them should increase. They are reinvesting that money back in the business. We also used to call it as plowing back of profits. So retained earnings has the cost. What cost? Who is sacrificing for that? Equity shareholders. So its cost is same as cost of equity. Because equity shareholders sacrifice for that, cost of retained earnings will be same as cost of equity. Is everyone clear with this question? And is not cost-free source of finance, cost is involved. By retaining the profits in the business, the expectation of equity shareholders with future earnings increase. Is everyone clear with this? Or you know? This is the only formula. TR will be equal to KP. And the last topic now. Overall cost of capital, or that is KO, or you call it as weighted average cost of capital. Weighted average cost of capital that is WACC. Now, as I said to you in the first lecture, that you borrow say 20 lakhs from debentures, 10 lakhs from preference shares, 50 lakhs from equity shareholders. But do you invest 20 lakhs, 10 lakhs and 50 lakhs separately, or all 80 lakhs at the same time? All 80 lakhs at the same time. But you have to give separate returns. You have to invest 80 lakhs in such a manner that you are able to give return to debenture holders on 20 lakhs expected by them, let us say 12%. Return to preference shareholders on 10 lakhs expected by them, let us say 15%. And return on 50 lakhs expected by equity shareholders, let us say 20%. So on 80 lakhs, what should we earn? So that we are able to give 12% on 20 lakhs also, 15% on 10 lakhs also, and 20% on 50 lakhs also. That we are going to find by weighted average cost of capital. Meaning to say, if you expect 12% on 20 lakhs of debentures, then you give the weights of 20 lakhs. Importance will be as per the amount borrowed, that is 20 lakhs. If you expect to give 15% to preference shareholders from whom you borrowed 10 lakhs, then its weights or importance will be less than debentures. So on that 10 lakhs the weight, on that 15% the weight attached will be, importance attached will be of 10 lakhs. The most important is 50 lakhs, because on that you will give 20% return. So that you will attach more importance, weights given will be more. So how do you find the weighted average cost of capital? There are two different ways of doing it, okay? The columns will be, first of all, source of finance. You don't have to write it, just understand it first. Source of finance, either you can find taking the book values, or you can find taking the market values, which will be given in the question. Should you find the weighted average cost of capital taking book value or market value will be mentioned in the question. How will you find the weights now is this column. Individual amount. Individual amount means either individual book value or individual, depending on what is taken into consideration, divided by total amount. So as I said to you, suppose book values, then the example which I gave you right now, 20 lakhs was borrowed from debt, 10 lakh from preference, 50 lakhs from equity. So 20 plus 10 plus 50, total amount borrowed is 80 lakhs. What will be the weight of debt? 20 lakhs upon 80 lakhs, 0.25. What will be the weight of preference shares? 10 lakhs upon 80 lakhs, 0.125. And equity shares 50 lakhs upon 80 lakhs. Is everyone clear with this? So how will you find the weights of each of the source of finance? Individual amounts divided by total amounts. Okay. Then the cost of capital we will be finding by these formulas. So first we'll find cost of debt KD. Then we'll find cost of preference shares KB. Then we'll find cost of equity KD. That will multiply with respective weights, and you'll get weighted average cost of capital. So these columns are to be made to find weighted average cost of capital. What columns? First, source of finance. Second, book values or market values, whatever is specified in the question. Third, weights. How will you find the weights? Individual amount divided by total amount. Then K, cost of capital, will find by the respective formulas, and then weighted average cost of capital. Any confusion in this? This is the last topic in the chapter. Only one thing to be kept in mind is, if you are using book value weights, then cost of retained earnings will have the book value. Book value means value appearing in the books. So retained earnings will be appearing on the liability side. That is its book value. But if you are taking market value weights, then retained earnings are not traded on the stock exchange. Do retained earnings have any market price? They don't have the market price. So in that situation, retained earnings will not be included in the source of finance, because whatever you find as cost of existing equity, that market price already includes the element of retained earnings. The market price of equity shares considers the retained earnings also. Means if a company has a good financial position and good reserves and surplus, their market price of shares will be more in the stock market. Company with less retained earnings, market price in the stock exchange will be less. So whatever is the market price based cost of equity you are finding, that basically includes the cost of equity as well as the cost of retained earnings. So you just remember a very simple thing. If book value weights are asked, include KR. If market value weights are asked, don't include KR. That's it. Automatically everything will be fulfilled. If book value weights are asked, include KR. If market value weights are asked, don't include KR. The reason for not including KR is in KE, KR is already included. Because the market price represents market price of equity plus retained earnings. So if book value weights are asked, include KR separately. If market value weights are asked, don't include KR in this table. Is everyone clear with this? Head of this, then I dictate that one. Completed everyone? Raise your hand and still writing. So write on the note below that if market value weights are asked, if market value weights are asked, then retained earnings will not be included in sources of finance. Okay, so if book value weights KR will be included, market value weights KR will not be included. Look at question 11. A firm has the following capital structure, and it's a very scoring chapter. The alternative chapter which you have will be a difficult one. In exams, this will be a better option. Final exams. Mid-semester, you don't have any option. The full-fledged question will be directly 15 marks. Like you can see on page number 81, these ones are asked in exams. Page number 83. 10 marks, 12 marks, 20-30 you can see is of 17 marks also. Next page you can see again 15, 10, 15. So 10 to 15 marks full-fledged question will come and it is very, very scoring. Okay? Yes, coming back to question 11. Initially everything looks scoring. It depends how regularly you attend and cover up the same. A firm has the following capital structure and after tax costs for the different sources of funds used. Equity share capital book value 4 lakhs, after tax cost 15.6%, market as KE. After tax cost means that is KE cost and equity is always after tax only. Preference share capital book value 3 lakhs, 10.5%, what is that? KP. Retained earnings 1 lakh, 15.6%, what is that? KR. And just now we discussed KR will always be equal to K. Check it, are both of them same or not? K is also 15.6 first one, KR is also 15.6 third one. Debt 2 lakhs. What is 4.5? KD. First calculate, guess what happened? Calculate weighted average cost using book value weights. First let us do that. Make the same columns. First we are solving using book value weights. So sources of finance, book values, weights, K and WACC. Did you all give the headings? Now be attentive. Sources of finance. Very first is equity share capital. What is the book value? 4 lakhs. Then second is preference share capital. What is the book value? 3 lakhs. Then third is retained earnings. One lakh. And fourth is debt, that is 2 lakhs. Are you okay with this? So total is already given as 10 lakhs, otherwise we can't do that. Now, as we discussed in the earlier table, how would you find the weights I told you? Individual amount divided by total amount. So do it 4 lakhs divided by 10 lakhs. 0.4. Raise your hand who is not clear how is 0.4 obtained. All are clear with this? Kamal, how is 0.4 obtained? Just now you were clear, when I asked you, you are not clear. Because both of you are talking. Sumit, how is 0.4 obtained? Be attentive, individual amount divided by total amount. Kamal, how did you obtain 0.4? Tell me how you obtained for preference shares. 3 lakhs upon 10 lakhs. 1 lakh upon 10 lakhs and 2 lakhs upon 10 lakhs. Total of weights should always come 1. Raise your hand who is not clear with the weights. All are clear with this? Now cost is already given. KE is 15.6. KP is 10.5. KR is also 15.6 and KD is 4.5. Are you all clear with this? Now simply these two are to be multiplied. What is 15.6 into 0.4? Tell me 2 decimals. 6 point. 10.5 into 3. 3.15. 15.6 into 0.1. And 4.5 to 0.2. Now do the total. 6, 3, 9.2, 3.8, 11.85. Did you understand this? This is weighted average cost of capital. This is always expressed in percentage. That's it. So now when we come across mixed examples, then it will be a lengthy one. First we have to find this 15.6 by applying KE's formula. BPS upon NPS or MPS into 100 and plus G if it is given. First this 10.5 we have to find out. If it's irredeemable then PD upon NP into 100. Otherwise then PD plus RB minus NP upon N upon RB plus NP upon 2 into 100. KR would be same as K and KD also. Either I into 1 minus K upon NP into 100 or the lengthy formula. First we will find those 4 things. Then we will make this. Means now, if the company invests 10 lakhs in the business, then on 10 lakhs they will have to generate how much return? If they are able to generate 11.85% return, they will be able to pay 15.6% to equity shareholders also. They will be able to pay 10.5% to preference also. 15.6% on retained earnings also they will be able to pay to equity shareholders, and 4.5% they will be able to pay on debt also. Because on 10 lakhs when they invest in the business, they should generate 11.85%. Understood that? Look at the second question below. market value weights. Assuming market value of different sources of funds are as follows. Costs are going to remain same. K is going to remain same. But the market values are equity 725, preference 350, debt 1,75,000. What about retained earnings? In market value weights, we will not include retained earnings. Only three sources of finance will be included. Are you all clear with this? So one more table we will make for the second answer. Instead of book values, what will be the column? Market values. Right on. Market value weights. What happened? Sources of finance, market values, weights, K and WACC. Now, equity share capital, preference share capital, then we will not include retained earnings, directly debt. Is everyone clear with this? Now, equity share capital's market value is 7,25,000. Preference is 3,50,000 and debt is 1,75,000. Total is 12,50,000. Are you all clear with this portion? Here I will find the weight of equity. Or if you do it 7,25,000 divided by 12,50,000. Yes? How much you get? 0.58. Then do 3,50,000 divided by 12,50,000. 0.28. And 175,000 divided by 12,50,000. 0.14. The total must come. Any confusion in this? K will be taken same as the previous information. Cost of equity will remain same 15.6. Cost of preference will remain same 10.5. We don't have KR. Cost of debt will remain same 4.5. Now 15.6 into 0.58. 9.05. This both are expressed in percentage. Okay. 10.5 into 0.28. 2.94. And 4.5 into 0.14. 0.63. Total 12.62%. So based on market value weights, the overall cost of capital is 12.62%. Based on book value weights, the overall cost of capital is 11.85%. All clear with this? Question 17 is your homework. I am discussing it here. But I am discussing it because you will make this table 3 times. Be attentive. Listen everyone. Page 81, question 17. Jayesh Limited has following capital structures. First option. Percentage of equity 75, debt, can you see 25? Means no need of second column. directly after the source of finance you include? There are only two sources. One is equity, the other is debt. What is the weight of equity? 75% means 75 upon 100, 0.75. Directly the weight of equity you will take 0.75. Debt 0.25. Total comes to 1. Then you are given cost of equity is 16 and cost of debt is, but again pre-tax. So you don't take 12. Can you see your tax rate is 30%? So do 1 minus t. Means do 12 into 0.7. 1 minus t means 1 minus 0.3. So we always have to take the cost after tax. So 12 into 0.7, 8.4. Means when you solve the question, don't take KD as 12, you will take 8.4. How did you get 8.4? 12 into 1 minus t. 12 into 1 minus 0.3. 12 into 0.7, that is 8.4. So this is one you have to solve. Second time again you have to solve. There, what is the percentage of equity? 50. So weight will be 0.5. And debt again 0.5. Then KE 18, but KD 14 into 0.7. Then third option, third time you make the table. With weight of equity you will take 0.25. Weight of debt you will take 0.75. KE 24. But what will you take KD? 18 into 0.7. Then they say which option would you recommend? Whichever option has the lowest overall cost of capital. And show your rulings. Okay? Any confusion in this question? So 17 is your homework for tomorrow. Right? Bye everyone.